Alright everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV, to the instant match reaction with me, Matt, from that disappointing defeat. Newcastle United 1 and United 3, as Jermaine Genius would say, because there's only one United when Newcastle United and Manchester United play, and of course it's the team that play in red, not in black and white. Like I say, 3-1 to Man United after they beat us 4-1 in the reverse fixture earlier in the season. And it honestly wasn't much better performance-wise. Going into the game, looking at the lineups, you've got Matic in there, who doesn't usually start. McTominay is a big miss for them in the midfield. And then you've got Dan James, who was brought in from the cold after playing well in the Europa League. Started. So you look at that team and you think, we're relatively unchanged. It's just Joe Linton coming in for Gale. Relatively unchanged. Let's target their weak spots. We know that Maguire isn't comfortable on the ball. Let's put high press on. And we did that quite well. The first 45, we suffocated them. We didn't let them play out from the back. We had the high press on. I think Joe Willock has really been an important signing from us in that instant, because he does push up a lot higher than Shelby does with the press. We forced them into a few mistakes. Early on we had a lot more shots than them. We had a lot more shots on target. We had a lot more set pieces from corners. We were forcing them into mistakes. We started well and we targeted their weakness. We didn't let them play the way they wanted to play. And it was a good opening 45. It ended 1-1. Goal we'll get onto in a bit, but overall as a team we played quite well. Hayden was the foil that Shelby and Willock needed in midfield. Almiron was busting the gut as per usual, and yeah, like Juicy and Sweet points out there, missing Pogba as well as McTominay, so they are missing a few key players in that starting lineup. So you think they're there for the taking, and perhaps if we'd had Callum Wilson they might have been. But yeah, looking at the first half, so finished 1-1, Rashford opening the scoring before Saint-Maximin equalised for us. Rashford, his goal was just a product of them targeting our fullbacks. You could see that from the offset, that was their plan, to overload the fullbacks on both sides, not just on the right-hand side for us. You had Luke Shaw overlapping at every given opportunity, and you had Rashford being supported by Martial, who doesn't like playing as a central striker. He just drifted out wide. So there's basically three players in our fullback position targeting that, and just frankly, Kraft is not good enough. I don't know how many times I've got to say it. He's not good enough for the Premier League. He looked out of place. He maybe could have given away a penalty when Rashford did him. He just, honestly, I'll be interested to see how highly he scores on scoring the players later with the lads, because for me it was a solid 2 out of 10 from him. He got torn apart. Rashford was just doing whatever he wanted, and yeah, the first goal came from that. He turned Kraft inside out and then hit a low, hard shot towards the keeper's near post. You could argue that Darlow should be saving that. It's right there. He's not like he's been wrong-footed. It's right by his near post. His hand is already there, and it's gone in. Your keeper should be saving that. And you might argue that Dubravka does save that with his feet. He's a bit more comfortable using his feet than Darlow is. Maybe he gets down a bit quicker. Disappointing to go behind. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that Dubravka should start the next game, given Darlow's potentially worrying performance today. We've heard rumours that Dubravka is potentially a bit unhappy at his lack of game time after coming back from fitness. So yeah, Darlow potentially at fault for that first goal there. But then we didn't let it get to us like we usually do. We didn't sit back and just try and limit the damage. We set on our way, and we wanted to hit them on the break and capitalise on the momentum that we had in the first half. We used set pieces quite well. It must have been something that we'd worked on in training, because I noticed that a lot of the set pieces, whilst it's frustrating to watch sometimes playing it short and then getting instantly wasted, today we used them quite well. We, like the commentators pointed out during the game, we were using the set pieces to draw their back four out of position, so we'd have a bit more joy. And eventually one of those chances worked. Saint-Maximin had a fantastic shot saved by De Gea, tipped it over for a corner, and then from that corner we used it short. Willock whipping a lovely ball in, which Maguire didn't deal with, and then Saint-Maximin with a good finish into the ground. No chance for De Gea in that one. Pulled it level. Going into half-time, you're thinking, fantastic. Bruno Fernandes, it's like he's not playing. We've absolutely suffocated him. We've not let him get on the ball. Rashford's been the main output. So if you think we get Joe Linton off early, we bring someone like Fraser on, we can have a bit more defensive cover on that right-hand side, because Joe Linton wasn't really tracking back. We know he had a bit of an injury that he came off with, and he also got a booking fairly on for kicking the ball away. And then it just went to pot, really. It's not the worst performance. Every time that I do this show, it seems that we've just put in the worst performance of the season, and I get to scream at the camera for 15 minutes. honestly, it wasn't that bad, but to be honest, it wasn't fantastic either. That it pretty much sums up our season. It wasn't that bad, so we should probably be happy with it. But we should probably be wanting more, because going into that second half, you've got Almiron, who's bombing forwards constantly. He's carrying the ball 40, 50 yards up the pitch, turning around, and there's no support from him. When Joe Linton was on, he didn't look interested. Saint-Maximin was blown out of his arse for some of the game. And you've got to think that someone like Callum Wilson or even Dwight Gale, if he's playing in that central position, would be up there supporting Almiron. First substitution, like I've already mentioned, Fraser came on for Joe Linton, a bit more pace. Personally, I don't know if you agree with me in the comments, I would have brought Andy Carroll on at some point, purely because Maguire and Lindelof just aren't competent defenders. So if you stick a big man like Andy Carroll on, someone that's going to bully them, then I think we'd have had a lot more joy, especially at set pieces. I think we could have used him as an outlet today. We didn't have a lot of joy carrying the ball forwards on the ground, so why not lump it up to Andy and play off him with Almiron and Saint-Maximin supporting him. Yeah, so like I say, Fraser on for Joe, that was the first one, first sub. And then not too long after that, it was 2-1 Manchester United, after the two men brought into the side that I said we probably wouldn't need to worry about. Matic and James linking up, technically Fernandes getting the assist when he got a toe on the ball. But yeah, it was the same. It was the right-hand side, people not tracking back. Matic broke into the final third, and he's just stood with the ball inside our box with three, I think it was Kraft, Willock and Hayden surrounding him, and they just watched him. No one put a tackle in, and he's able to stop, one of their slowest players on the pitch, able to run forwards, stop, pick his head up, and then go, right, I see Dan James 30 yards away on the other side of the box. I've got time to adjust my body, use my strong foot, play it all the way across the box and get it a goal scoring opportunity. Like the commentator said in the game, it was a chance from absolutely nothing, and that was our defensive frailty. Kraft didn't step up, Hayden didn't fill in, and Willock should have put a boot in. I think, if the first goal, Darlow could have done better than the second goal. That is absolutely the defense's fault. It's a good finish from Dan James. Personally, I don't think Darlow could have done too much about that finish. It was a miss-hit scuff shot in at the near post. You can't really blame the keeper on that one. And then Steve Bruce decided that it was time for some fresh legs with only 14 minutes to go. Murphy coming on for Saint-Maximin, and then 2 minutes later, Gale on for Almiron. Two of our most productive players today taken off the pitch for two players who pretty much are good for nothing except running at people quickly without the ball. And obviously that backfired, and it just doesn't work. Dwight Gale, as much as I appreciate he is a goal scorer, you need to get balls into the box for a player like him, and we just didn't have the players around it. You've taken Saint-Maximin off. Where's your creativity on the left? You've taken Almiron off. Where's your creativity behind the striker? You've got Fraser and Murphy on the wing who are fresh into the game. They're struggling to keep up with the pace of the game off the bench. So Gale's going to get no service. It was a daft decision from my perspective anyway. And before that, I've even forgotten to talk about it because it was just such a nothing goal. Is it a penalty? Probably. It's soft. Willock's dived in and then he's tried to pull out halfway through and he's caught Rashford's toe by like a centimetre. And then, the conversion of the penalty, you can't complain about Fernandes putting that. I don't know what Darlow was doing. He kind of dived forwards rather than sideways. It was a weird one. But yeah, soft penalty to give away. But they shouldn't be getting into those positions. There was just a lack of communication between the defence and the midfield that let those players get in and around our box on our right-hand side, which was the real problem today. I think Kraft really struggled with Rashford and Shaw overlapping on that left-hand side. Because, like you say, they were targeting our fullbacks. Some people saying they think it was a pen in the comments. Some people saying they think it was soft. I mean, we could sit and debate it all night, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether it's a pen or not. It's 2-1 or 3-1. We've lost to a side that outplayed us in the second half. If we kept the intensity that we had in the first 45 into the second half, I think we could have pulled off a 1-1, maybe even nicked a goal. But Sean, you're right. I didn't understand the subs either, to be honest. Weird times, weird players to bring on. I think Andy Carroll should have got a run out. You could tell that Willock was struggling getting back sometimes. He did put in a few good challenges, but you could see he was lacking a bit of match fitness after playing a couple of games in the starting 11 now. I think we would have called for it as well if that was Wilson or Gale in the box. But, looking forwards, we've got the next 4 games, which are absolutely crucial for us. We've got Wolves at home, then West Brom away, followed by Villa at home and Brighton away. 4 teams that it absolutely, you've got to be having a go at them. Wolves really not looking themselves at the moment. They pulled off 3 points against Leeds, a sketchy 1-0 win with a dodgy goal, potentially unlucky to win. Sorry, lucky to win that and not draw or lose that, with Bamford's dodgy VAR decision being disallowed. But yeah, we've got Wolves next at home. Yes, there's potentially less of an advantage at home without the fans, but you've got to be thinking that they're there for the taking. You know, if we play the way we've been playing in the past few games, which hasn't been awful, you know, we've got a formation now that we think works for us. Yes, we're lacking the personnel through injuries, etc. But you've got to think that we're playing well, better than we did against Brentford, against Sheffield United, against West Brom, against Fulham. So you've got to think that a few of these teams are there for the taking. You've got West Brom away after that, and if we don't win that, we're very much in a relegation scrap, for my opinion. You know, we're just 3 points ahead of Fulham now, and they've got a better goal difference than us, I believe. So, you know, if they pull off a win in the next game and we lose, then we're in the bottom 3. And if Brighton win tomorrow night, then we're 4 points behind Brighton, who are the next team up in the league. We are well and truly in a relegation scrap. And there's been a few comments I've seen popping up on the screen, you know, Bruce out, Bruce out. We said this for so long, and Bruce does need to go. But if he's going to go, he needs to go soon, because we've seen with Shearer, we've seen with Rafa, if you bring someone in too late, no matter how good the manager is, we know how good a manager Rafa is, he's still not going to be able to keep us up if you don't give him enough time. You know, we've got less than half of the games left this season. I think it's 13 games left after tonight, maybe 12. We've got the talent in the squad. You know, Miggy's going to run his heart out every game. Hayden's a stalwart in midfield. We've got a solid back line. We've got 2 fantastic goalkeepers. Yes, we're maybe lacking going forwards, but we've got a good enough squad to stay up. We're certainly better than Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United, you know. But you've got to look at those next 4 games: Wolves, West Brom, Villa, and Brighton. You've got to be taking at least 6-7 points off those. They're 2 of the teams in and around you. Wolves not too far away as well. Like, yeah, King football, only positive. Fulham have a few more difficult games. They do, but Fulham are playing better football. It pains me to say it, but, you know, even back when they drew with Liverpool, they were unlucky not to beat Liverpool. They're playing good football at the minute, and they're on a much better run than we are. They're riding a wave at the moment, and they've brought in some reinforcements in January that are doing really well for them as well. So we're absolutely in a relegation scrap. We've got to say it. 2021, 10 games, 6 points. It's not good enough. It's absolutely not good enough. We've got to improve. And for me, it's got to be 6-7 points from the next few games. But yeah, tonight was just a write-off. No one expected anything going in. No one expects anything coming out. It's disappointing, but realistically, we had no chance at the end of the day. We put up a decent fight in the first half and then capitulated in the second. It was just, yeah, typical Newcastle United, to be honest. But that's about all the time we've got. We've got a couple minutes left. If you haven't already, and you are joining us from the live watch, if you haven't already, drop a like on the video. It does help us out a lot on the channel. We're trying to reach the upper echelons of the likes at the minute, trying to get into the hundreds. So costs you nothing, helps us out a lot. So don't forget to drop a like. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. Don't forget Newcastle Fans TV, but also NFTV Extra. We got a lot of content over on the second channel coming up soon. In terms of the content tonight, we've got the live fan reaction next. I believe it's Carl and Brandon. So if you've got your thoughts on tonight's game or any other stuff Newcastle United looking forwards for the rest of the season, whether you support Bruce, you want Bruce out, join the lads next and give your opinions. They'll try and chat to as many people as possible. And then, of course, we've got scoring the players later on. I'm interested to see what Emil Kraft gets tonight, because personally, he was my villain of the match. And, of course, last but certainly not least, we will have the last word later on tonight. So stay tuned for all of those if you can stay awake on this Sunday night. But thanks for watching, guys. I've been Matt. You've been watching Newcastle Fans TV, and it's another loss tonight for Newcastle United. 3-1 against Manchester United, and it's just shocking. It's got to be Bruce out now, but thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.